Cream feels familiar, soft, and comforting. It's something we add to coffee, desserts, and sauces without a second thought. Smooth, white, and uniform, it seems simple and predictable. At first glance, cream looks almost empty. Just a liquid. Just fat and milk blended together. But this smooth appearance hides a much more complex reality. As the sample is placed onto the slide and gently spread, the illusion of simplicity begins to break. Tiny droplets remain suspended instead of merging into one. This fragile balance is what gives cream its texture and richness. Before magnification even increases, the surface already tells a story. Subtle variations appear. Some areas look denser, others appear clearer and more fluid. What feels smooth on the tongue is actually built from countless microscopic elements interacting at once. Each drop of cream contains a hidden structure that determines how it pours, blends, and tastes. As the microscope comes into focus, cream begins to lose its familiar identity. The idea of a simple white liquid fades away. In its place emerges a complex microscopic system shaped by fat globules, motion, and time. This is where the exploration begins. From something soft and ordinary to a hidden world that exists inside one of the most common ingredients we use every day. At 80 times magnification, the cream sample spreads across the slide as a pale, uneven layer. At first glance, the surface looks smooth and calm. There are no sharp edges or solid fragments that would suggest a rigid structure. Instead, the material appears soft and fluid, gently flowing outward during preparation. Large light regions dominate the field of view. These zones appear almost translucent, allowing light to pass through easily. They indicate areas rich in liquid, where water is the dominant component. Between these lighter regions, thin, darker boundaries form winding shapes. These boundaries curve naturally and never follow straight lines. Scattered throughout the image are small, rounded dots. Some are barely visible while others are more pronounced. They vary in size and spacing, giving the surface a subtle texture. These early rounded shapes hint at fat droplets suspended inside the cream. The structure does not look compact or dense. There's a strong sense of openness and softness. Nothing appears tightly packed. At this level, cream already looks very different from how we imagine it. It does not feel like a simple liquid anymore. Instead, it appears as a gentle, layered substance built around fluid movement. This first magnification gives a general impression of cream as a delicate emulsion. A substance where liquid dominates, but hidden complexity already exists beneath the surface. At 200 times magnification, the internal organization of the cream becomes much more apparent. Rounded structures now clearly stand out across the entire field of view. These circular formations are fat droplets, suspended within the watery phase of the cream. Some droplets appear large and well-defined. Their edges are smooth and clearly separated from the surrounding liquid. Others are much smaller, appearing as tiny dots scattered between larger structures. The size variation creates a layered and uneven visual pattern. The background now looks finely granular. Countless microscopic particles fill the space between droplets. This granular texture adds depth and richness to the image. It becomes clear that the cream is not uniform at all. In some regions, fat droplets cluster together tightly. They appear almost pressed against one another. In other areas, wide liquid gaps separate them completely. This uneven distribution gives the image a dynamic and organic appearance. Thin boundary lines form delicate outlines around many droplets. These boundaries act like invisible walls, keeping fat and water from fully mixing. At this magnification, cream starts to look carefully structured rather than random. This level explains why cream feels rich but still flows easily. It is thick but not solid, stable yet constantly mobile at a microscopic level. At 800 times magnification, the cream transforms into a highly detailed microscopic landscape. Fat droplets now dominate the image almost completely. Their shapes are no longer perfectly round. Many appear slightly stretched, compressed, or irregular. Some droplets sit extremely close to one another. In places they seem to touch or nearly merge. Thin films form between neighboring droplets, acting like fragile membranes. These films define the boundaries of the emulsion. The surrounding liquid phase is crowded with tiny particles. These particles fill nearly every visible space. They vary in brightness and size, creating a textured and busy background. The contrast between smooth droplets and granular surroundings becomes very strong. Clusters of droplets form structures that resemble floating islands. Each cluster appears stable yet delicate. A small disturbance could easily change their arrangement. At this magnification, the cream no longer looks calm or smooth. It feels active and complex. The structure looks dynamic, as if it is constantly balancing itself. This level reveals why cream feels thick, silky, and rich on the tongue. Its texture comes from countless microscopic interactions between fat and liquid. At 2,000 times magnification, cream becomes almost completely abstract. Nothing here resembles a familiar dairy product anymore. The idea of liquid disappears entirely. Individual fat droplets reveal fine surface details. Their edges are sharply defined with subtle textures along their boundaries. Some surfaces appear smooth and uniform. Others show slight irregularities and distortions. The space between droplets is filled with dense microscopic material. Tiny particles of varying shapes and sizes crowd the image. Some appear as bright points. Others form irregular clusters or cloudy regions. There is almost no empty space left. Thin interfaces between fat and liquid become more visible. These interfaces outline how the emulsion holds itself together. Some regions appear highly organized and layered. Others look chaotic and fragmented. This contrast creates depth and a sense of motion within a still image. At this level, cream feels less like food and more like a microscopic system. A system shaped by chemistry, processing, and physical forces. This hidden structure exists inside something people consume every day, yet it remains completely unseen in normal life. Looking this closely changes how familiar foods feel. If you want to explore more everyday products under the microscope, subscribe to the channel and watch the next videos to see what's hiding beneath the surface.